So in the material that you had for your translation exercise, again, verse 9 is the conclusion of in the Hebrew, verse 9 in the Hebrew. As again, the messengers are sent to Esau, and of course the issue is that if he comes to the one camp, and strikes it, the other camp will remain. So that, again, that's the conclusion of his plan and the division of the camps. In verse 10 in the Hebrew, now is the prayer, and I think this is one of the key points of Jacob's life, as he encountered God at Bethel before departing. As he says in his prayer later on, that he left the land with only his staff in his hand, because he was escaping for his life from the wrath of his brother Esau. But while he was in the homeland of his ancestors, dwelling with his distant uncle Laban, the Lord blessed him abundantly in the productivity of his livestock, the gaining of servants, and of course 2 wives and the sons and daughters while in that land. So then Jacob, rightly, as he has set forth his plan, he finally prays. So the prayer of Jacob is an important one, where he begins with that traditional reference to his forefathers. Elohei Avi Avraham, Elohei Avi Yitzchak. So, God of my father Abraham and God of my father Yitzchak. Did you not say to me, O Lord, return to your land? God had bid him to return to the land, and he had told him that he would provide for him and protect him, but of course, he's still not fully trusting God. But at least at this point, he prays and he returned to Lemolad Edekah, the land of your ancestry, beginnings, and he said, I will do good with you. I will do good. I will perform good on your behalf. So he remembers that, but he doesn't fully trust God at that point. And then he says, of course, that, he has very little faith by comparison to the trustworthiness, the chesed, the faithful, loyal multitude of God's faithfulness. Hence the ha-chasadim, the multiple loyal loves, or multiple faithfulnesses, often translated, and as well the comparative men with all Mikol, as in Mikol ha-chasadim, also Mikol ha-emet, Asher, Asitah, Avdekah. It is that which God has, in multitude of ways and in his faithfulness and truthfulness, he has been loyal to his slowly learning servant, Jacob. It says that you will do and have done multiple loyalty and truth and faithfulness with regard to his servant. And as he is preparing to cross Avarti, the Jordan, Ha Yarden, as this Jordan River, so now be with the 2 camps. Protect us in this plan. And then verse 12, we continue the prayer in 13. And particularly in verse 13, I want to highlight that, as he says, Atem, Amarta, Atev, Ativ. Again, with the infinitive absolute preceding the finite verb, the imperfect for emphasis. God had said indeed that he would do good on behalf of his servant Jacob. And that, again, his seed would be multiplied like the sands of the seashore. Kachol hayam, asher lo yisafer merov. It would be the sands that would be innumerable, that could not be numbered. The nifal, imperfect, yisafer, as we'd seen that before, back in the earlier chapters of the patriarchal stories and the promises to Abraham. God's blessing that he would indeed. So in essence, we see a number of prayers in the Bible here with Abraham, with Isaac, with Jacob, and then later with Moses. There is this evoking of God's history of faithfulness, and the plea in this prayer is that God would continue to be faithful as he had manifested himself to be faithful in so many cases before. And as we have talked about throughout our journey through these patriarchal narratives, in spite of the unfaithfulness of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God is continually faithful to complete his promise that all of the biblical patriarchs had to learn about the full, manifest, providential faithfulness of God in spite of the unfaithfulness of his servants. And it's one of the great stories, and again, that we can always take confidence in our own ministries, that God often, more often than we acknowledge, works through our frailties, our imperfections, to bring about changes in our lives and to affect others in ministry. And so this is, again, example of one of the great aspects of the patriarchal stories, is something that we can share with our people. We don't have to be perfect servants to be servants of God. God will work for our good and for the good of others through us if we will, again, give ourselves to being faithful. But even when we are shy of that perfection, God is able to bring about dramatic changes in our lives and in the lives of others that he puts before us in our ministries.